Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Veach season. Yeah, that's right. We had a little bit of a hiatus because I had to see a man about a pint in the great country of Ireland. I had to see a man about numerous pints in the great country. Honestly, if I'm being honest with you, I had to see a man about more pints than I can count in the great, beautiful country of Ireland. And the Irish people were more than welcoming and more than happy to oblige me in my quest of endless pints. It's the best country. I can't name a better country in the world than Ireland. Anyway, but I digress. We are your guest hosts once again, and this is Veach season. I am Rocky Magaña, joined as always with my co-guest hosts, the beautiful, indomitable Kramer Sansone. Brett Veach is, this was his probably busiest week aside from draft week out of the year. It's the darkest week in the NFL calendar as well, where all teams have to whittle their rosters down to a 53-man roster, which means that some 40 people on each team, usually around that number, are given their walking papers and told that they were not going to make the initial 53-man roster. It's not a fun day for a lot of players, and not even a fun day for the coaches or for the front office people like Brett Veach, where they have to make some really tough choices, and some people's livelihoods are forever changed for the better, and some and many for the worst. And they have to have a lot of tough conversation with guys, and some guys' lifelong dreams that they've grinded and fought and bled for their entire lives. They have to have the realization that it's come to an end and like it's time, right? And so It's tough. It's a tough day for everybody, but it's, as a fan, it's a fun day as well. It's a weird dichotomy, right? And an intersection of, you want to see what players made your team, but you also want to see what players didn't make other teams that could possibly be added to your team, right? Because and this year especially, Kramer, it seems to me this year that there are a lot of teams that are giving up earlier on players that they've drafted. And I don't know if it's one of two things. It's either A, their scouting departments suck and they don't know how to draft players, or they got like new regimes that have come in since these players were drafted and they're trying to clean house and just have their own guys, right? Mm-hmm. Or everybody's in a win now mode, trying to catch up to teams like the Chiefs who have been successful. And so they're just giving up on guys way too fast, and they're not giving guys the breath to develop.
I mean, right? Look at the Indianapolis Colts. They just released like 4 of their guys that they drafted this year in the draft.
Well, look at the Arizona Cardinals.
True.
They traded Cam Thomas. We'll get into a little bit here, but they traded Cam Thomas this week, who was a 2022 third-round draft pick, to the Chiefs, who we'll get into it. But I mean, if you guys have listened to Veach season long enough, he was one of the very first Veach season crushes. Like, I was absolutely in love with this man. I still am. I thought that he was pretty close to being my top defender on the board in the 2022 draft. But on top of that, Miles Murphy was their 2023 first-round draft pick, and they moved on from him. Like, we're not talking about like fans are understandably upset about FAU's development so far. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine if the Chiefs cut him if he didn't make the roster this year? If you were a team that didn't make the playoffs last year, and then you cut your first-round draft pick from a year ago, that is wild.
So, Rocky, so what I'm curious is, what if the Chiefs did cut FAU? I mean, it's not like he's been out here showing numbers, not like he's being a flash last year. Would it have been a shock? I think it would have been, honestly, clearly would have been a shock if they would have released him, which, I mean, it wasn't even on any of the radar. But I think it is kind of strange that they went out there and traded for Cam Thomas.
Well, it's 100%. It's an indictment. Well, here's the thing. It's an indictment of the Chiefs' depth on the defensive line.
Oh, sure,
They went out and they traded for Cam Thomas. That's like, but it also, it's it has as much to do with the Minihew's injury as it does with FAU's lack of development. But here's the thing about FAU: when you drafted FAU, you never drafted him with him being a run defender in mind.
True.
There's always going to be a situational pass rusher. One of the beautiful things about Cameron Thomas is that he has inside-outside ability. He can line up on the interior as well as the exterior, and he is an elite run defender as well as a pass rusher, because much like George Karlaftis, he wins with the bull rush and effort and an inside swim move, and he just has a motor that does not quit, which translates really well to the run game. He's not a guy who's going to beat you, who's beating guys on the edge with speed move and bending around and being super bendy around the edge. He's a power guy, and so because of that, he's able to shed blockers and play the run really well.
So is he like a bigger Mike Dana, would you say then? Because I mean,
yeah. So coming out of college, he had a lot of really unfair comparisons.
Oh, I agree.
They were calling him the next JJ and TJ Watt.
Yeah.
Right. And Joey Bosa and Nick Bosa. And like, he is very much like, he is a poor man's version. Like, if you want to say, like, to say that he is like TJ Watt is to say, like,
I'm James Winchester.
I'm Antonio Banderas, right? You know?
I mean, the hair right now, I see that. I see it.
I mean, I'm a Mexican guy with some longer hair on top, right?
Bro, your hairstyle's sick. Like, I'm jealous. I used to rock that a little bit, you know?
That's what happens when you don't go to the barbershop for a very, very long time, and then your wife just shaves the sides, and you're like, wow. Is this a midlife crisis, or is this actually a cool haircut that I could possibly pull off?
I think you could pull this off, buddy.
I'm in my Zaddy era, so you know.
Yes.
So before we get too far into the it's gonna be an abbreviated episode today. First of all, guys, apologies. I just got back from Ireland yesterday, so I'm still pretty jet lagged. But we couldn't go another week without talking to you guys, and we couldn't go a week without breaking down something as important as the 53-man roster.
Right.
But before we get into all of that, we have to start off our episode like we always do with what's hot with Krame Dog.
So a little bit peel back behind the curtain of like what my interests are clearly. I don't know if I know you're not. I'm a big video game nerd. That's just out there. Call of Duty's Black Ops 6 beta is coming out this week on the 30th, and I'll tell you what, I cannot wait to get my hands on to see what this upcoming Call of Duty is going to be like. They're actually going to be round-based zombies coming back. I can't wait. I love it. I know this is not anything football related, but it sparks my interest, and I know for a fact there's people out there like nerds like myself who play Call of Duty or even play Madden or NCAA, because everything's just been great around the video game world for myself. So if you're a Call of Duty nerd like me, you should consider trying out the beta here.
Kramer Sansone, what about the children? Violence in video games.
That doesn't correlate. No, not at all. I cannot stand.
You're supposed to be. You're in the public eye. You're supposed to be a role model.
Oh, I post my Call of Duty clips on TikTok all the time. Feel free to follow me on that.
For digital violence.
There's something about it to where it's safe. It's a 4v4 search and destroy, like ranked wise. I love communicating the comms with my guys. We end up just going in there, wrecking up shop, winning and surviving and advancing. It's just like football, baby. We have our plays, we have our setups. We go in there, we wreck shop, and we get out and we win.
Kramer, in this situation, you're supposed to say you're supporting the troops.
Oh, obviously, clearly,
right?
Always.
I mean, that's what you're doing here. Obviously. And
so I support them, because if it wasn't for them, I couldn't be doing what I'm doing today, especially with Veach season
Exactly.
Amen, brother.
Amen. And I'm just busting your balls a little bit, obviously.
These balls are busting sometimes.
Sometimes you got to bust a few balls, you know.
That's all right. With a sledgehammer, I mean, that could happen.
I mean, sometimes you just got to take a sledgehammer to some balls, you know. I mean, if you don't ever sledgehammer your balls, then they're going to remain unsledgehammered your entire life. And isn't that really the measure of a man? You can take a sledgehammer to the balls or not.
You know what's great? That's a weapon in this past Call of Duty. The one that's currently on right
Sledgehammer
now.
to the balls?
Sledgehammer to the balls is a possible thing.
Wow. Look at that. Maybe I'll have to.
You know what?
No, I don't
Next
have
time,
zero time to do so.
next time I play Call of Duty, I'll stream it so you can watch it. How about that?
There we go. Yeah, get on Twitch. Watch Kramer stream sledgehammering guys to the balls and Call of Duty.
Amen.
All right. Also, we also like to regularly do here on the show is we like to read our 5-star reviews. And guess what, Kramer? This week we have a doozy. We probably have what I would say might be the best 5-star review we've gotten so far.
You don't say.
At least the most Veach season specific and kind-hearted and well-worded. And this person, I can only assume, is extremely handsome, beautiful, gorgeous, really good looking. Probably, I mean, obviously they are intelligent of scholarly proportions.
Nice.
And they probably wrote a 500,000 word PhD thesis and got a standing ovation, and the review board burst into tears of respect and admiration at this person's intelligence. Because this is, I'll read it to you. This is a great 5-star review. It's from Money a Do It, which obviously money will do it.
Yeah, good point.
It's a necessary evil, makes the world go round. But Money a Do It writes, or maybe it's Money a Doit.
I think it's a Do It.
A Do
It. Yeah.
Maybe it's French. Maybe it's Monet à Doigt.
Okay, I like that one better.
There we go.
Yeah, all right.
From Monet à Doigt, writes, the best cheese podcast. Now I feel like I should try to do it in a French accent, but I'm not going to because, I mean,
no,
I'm horrible.
Do
horrible
it in an Irish accent because you were just there.
I cannot do an Irish accent. I cannot do I mean, it comes off sounding horrible. I once tried to do a Sean Connery accent, which he's not Irish at all, right? We know he's not Irish. He's a Scotsman, right? He's Scots or Welsh, one of the two. They're not even the same thing, right? So I'm not trying to say all Scottish people and Welsh people are the same. See, look, now you're going to get me into trouble.
Now you're digging yourself in a hole right now.
Yeah, I'm digging myself in a hole here.
What's that comment?
All right. Money a Doigt says, best cheese pod network. This is the best cheese podcast with the best shows. I really enjoy listening to Veach season. Thank you. Every week, it's 100% the best pod on the network. Rocky and Kramer do a wonderful job of giving the best content to Chiefs fans. The Daily Fix has been a fun ad. Ron is a character. I really enjoy the hero of Critters Creek. This story was done extremely well and is a must listen. It's nice to get the podium interviews in full. Love the insights from the British boys in the show, and BK is a fun show to check out. Money a Doigt. A masterpiece of a 5-star review. 0 notes. From the bottom of my heart, first of all, thank you for the kind words about Veach season and also about the heroes of Critters Creek. We put our heart and soul into this product every single week and try to give you in the heroes of Critters Creek, and hopefully in another episode of Arrowhead Archives coming soonish when we're able to get that produced and out to you guys. But yeah, I mean, I'm speechless, and that's hard to do.
I'm
Kramer.
blushing actually. Like that. That
seriously,
was
like my heart's racing a little bit.
I'm starting to tear up actually.
If this was the Sadie Hawkins dance, I would probably be standing there by my locker, hoping that Money a Doigt asked me to the dance. That's where I'm at right now. Yeah, I got a crush on this 5-star review. I'm not gonna lie, it's a great review.
And I'll tell you what, right now, people, if you have a 5-star review, leave it in the comment section down below because we will read that, and hopefully we can get some emotions out of us again, like Money Doigt just did.
I mean, we'll read absolutely anything too. That's true. We've said multiple times. I mean,
even if it's a 1-star, we'll still read it.
I mean, yeah, honestly, just leave us any review. If it's a 1-star though, like here's the deal. Here's the difference. If it's a 5-star, we're going to compliment you the entire time. if it's a 1 star, we're just gonna make fun of you and act like you don't know what you're talking about. Unless it's an honest feedback, like then we'll take it.
Yeah,
We'll take
of
it into
course.
consideration, right? If it's something like, we're really off base on something and it's something that we honestly should take the feedback for, then we'll take the feedback. But if you're just being a dick, then we're gonna make fun of your ass and be like, no, this guy sucks. Or girls, guys and girls can both suck. We're equal opportunity. We think people of all genders can suck, right?
Yeah,
and
of
so
course. I mean, Ricky Bobby's mom once said, "Women are the devil." So
exactly. I mean, it's like like if we don't like you, it has nothing to do with your gender. It has to do with the fact you're an asshole.
exactly. Amen to that.
Jeez, that's where it's
got
at.
a T-shirt. That's what that needs
right?
to be like plastered everywhere.
And like we love everybody except for unless they're an asshole. Then we don't like assholes. Like that's
Amen.
what it is. Yeah, but anyway, but we digress. Stop getting political, Kramer. People don't care about politics and don't mix politics and football. What's the matter with you?
Sorry.
Get your head on straight.
Sorry.
Jeez,
let me get the tinfoil cap off.
Sorry, guys. I got to keep this guy under control. He just takes the show just off the rails on a constant basis. Luckily, he has somebody who's as straight-laced and straight and narrow as me.
Hey, Kanye 2024, baby.
Oh, see. Oh, my gosh. Jeez Louise. Just at least say like Nelly 2024. Like I'd vote Nelly before I voted Kanye. Let's be honest.
No comment.
Yeah, you'd vote Nelly before you voted Kanye.
Actually,
would you vote Nelly for president or Kanye for president? Be honest.
Nelly.
Yeah, stop mixing politics and sports. What's the matter with you? I just talked to you about this. See?
I was supposed to answer that. Oh, you're right.
The answer.
No comment.
No comment. Don't mix politics.
I plead the fifth.
There you go. See?
Now
you're learning.
I'm writing in Patrick Mahomes because he should be the president.
See, that's the correct answer. Who would you rather have as president? Lil Wayne?
Travis Kelce wouldn't be a bad one. That'd actually be a fun
who'd
one.
you rather for president?
The first lady being Taylor Swift. That'd be sick, actually.
Yeah, see? There you go.
We're getting somewhere with this.
So,
can your first lady be a girlfriend? Yeah, I know that's ever happened.
He would marry her before he got elected. Come on.
Well, let's not worry about it. That's never going to happen.
And let's be honest. If anybody's going to be the first lady, it's going to be Travis Kelce. Like Taylor Swift is going to get elected president, and Travis Kelce is going to be the first.
First man. He's the first man.
Gladly. Yeah. I mean, he'd be the first.
I'll tell you what, AI is getting wild with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift right now.
Really?
AI is like the AI, how it's portraying people right now. It's like the Wild West on X right now.
That's wild.
Yeah,
it is wild. All right,
I'll just leave it to that. You can seek that information out if you want.
Skynet people, be careful out there. You never know what's real. This AI can make like someday maybe we'll be famous enough that people will put words in our mouths and AI us. Right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, every stupid thing that we say right now is just straight from the horse's mouth. Like true. There's
not much AI can do on us now.
No, there's not much. All right, well, we're going to do a very abbreviated version of Pop Kingdom, even though we're kind of in Pop Kingdom all of a sudden. So you know what time it is, everybody. It's time for Pop Kingdom.
Pop Kingdom.
Pop. Yeah, so really the only thing that really matters to talk about in Pop Kingdom this week is the fact that Travis Kelce is going to be in Happy Gilmore Part 2 for sure, it turns out. Adam Sandler was on his podcast today. I didn't get a chance to listen to it yet, but I will because I usually write that up for the website over at Arrowhead Pride. And so I will be working on that this week. But yeah, so what are your initial thoughts about Travis Kelce starring in Happy Gilmore Part 2?
What I'm curious is how much of a role is he truly going to have in this movie? Like, are we going to see him 75% of the time, 50% of the time, 25% of the time? Because Travis does sell the numbers. Like he's I would classify Travis now as a sensational superstar, whether if it is in the NFL or if it is in the movie scene itself. So what I'm curious is what exactly is his role in this movie? Because no matter what he does, it turns out being amazing.
Oh, 100%. And I think that he's become a draw at this point, right?
Like,
that's the whole reason why he's in this, is that he's a draw. Swifties
it's
love
Adam
him.
Sandler. Who's going to say no to Adam Sandler?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that I think that what it's going to come down to is that he's he's going to have as big as a role as I mean, obviously as they want him to. I know that sounds stupid, but I mean, he could have a bit role, it could just be one or two lines, or he could be like a main side character. He could be Happy's new caddy for all we know, right? He could be the new villain,
What if
right?
that'd be actually sick if Travis Kelce was the villain, or if he was like the conscious of like Adam Sandler, like you know how like Chubbs came back later on and was like waving
Mhm.
to Happy at the end of the first one. What if like that's he's envisioning Travis Kelce and Travis Kelce's talking to him the entire time, like being like in his ring corner, like no one can see him except for Adam Sandler.
Well, that'd be good. What if he's like Shooter McGavin's son, who's trying to like
Ooh,
come
that would be
after
fun.
Happy?
Wearing
Or
all black, being like a cocky SOB, and just like, yeah, I'm gonna beat your ass.
yeah,
I could
or
take your
what if
girl
he's
too.
like, yeah, what if he's like from like before Happy became famous and like got his shit together, and he's like Happy's illegitimate son who like
Ooh,
hates him and is gonna try to beat him at golf.
so it's like an origin story for him.
Yeah, it's like an origin story. It's like a father son, but then like they end up like the whole thing is like in the end they end up like reunited and becoming one family and uniting forces to beat Shooter McGavin or something. It could go either way, however you want to do it. But yeah, I mean, it's a possibility.
You know what? I just want to see like I liked seeing Travis Kelce in a football uniform, but is it selfish for me to say that I can't wait until he retires so we can see what he does post career? Because I think he's done it all. He's checked all the boxes in the NFL. There's really nothing he needs to do to prove himself. So it's like
Yeah,
I think I'm ready for his next chapter, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who thinks this either.
no, I agree with you 100%. And I think that it's going to be a lot of fun to watch and see what he does next, especially since they just also in Travis Kelce news, him and his brother Jason just inked $100 million distribution deal for their podcast with Amazon.
3 years, a 3-year, $100 million deal. That's stupid.
It has to be
Like
the
that's
largest.
ridiculous.
Yeah, that's be the largest podcast deal in the history
They're gonna get paid
of
again once
sports
that three
media.
years is up.
That's insane. All right, moving on. Let's get down to brass tats
Nitty
and
gritty.
let's uh let's talk about the Chiefs 53-man roster. All right. So, initial takeaways, Kramer, Chiefs 53-man roster. Go.
I Rocky, I don't think they need to carry 7 wide receivers on this team. Uh, and all right, I'll address the elephant in the room. Louis Rees-Zammit was released, and he was picked up by the damn Jacksonville Jaguars, so he could not find his way on the practice squad. I am absolutely bummed about this, but I do trust what Brett Veach is doing. But then I question everything he's been doing since the injury. Well, no, since signing McCole Hardman back, I've been questioning a little bit everything in my mind. Like, what are we doing here? Then you bring back Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, what exactly are we doing here? Granted, I think it's a great idea to bring him back on a very, very tiniest dollar amount because New England's still paying the contract. But on the offensive side of things, it is a bit not worrisome because I mean, granted, there's a lot of weapons. This is the first time I think Mahomes actually has weapons upon weapons upon weapons when it comes to his offensive side on the 53 man. I'm just concerned to see it all work and spin into motion because there's a lot of banged up guys who get banged up all season. There's guys that we know is fast. There's guys that they can catch. I'm just curious how it's all going to be played out. But so far, love it, hate it. I kind of love this 53-man roster because what saved it was the fact Carson Steele made the 53-man.
Yeah, so I mean, it sucks that Louis Rees-Zammit is on the Jacksonville Jaguars. I understand
Yeah,
why. Good for them. Good for
dude, it's
him.
stupid.
He's way too handsome to be playing in that terrible city. I mean, let's be honest.
You would know. You're basically what 2-3
I
hours
used to
away
live
from
in
it.
I used to live in Jacksonville. It's a terrible city. It's a terrible city, terrible place. It's the armpit of the universe. Sorry, Jacksonville. Love you guys. Duval. Um, Carson Steele, though, beautiful story. Chris Roland Wallace, another beautiful story. Secondary, made the team. You know, we have CJ Hansen, late round draft pick, made the team. There's a lot of great stories on here. Kadarius Toney, Chiefs moved on from him.
Good.
We called it. Let's be honest. We called Carson Steele making the roster. We called Kadarius Toney not making the roster. Was a little bit surprised that Sky Moore made the roster. Do the Chiefs like? Here's the interesting thing: is because the Chiefs also today went out and signed Samaje Perine as well, right, as a fourth running back. And I haven't seen as of yet. Have they announced a corresponding move for that as of yet?
Let's see a quick X search on the Chiefs network. Corresponding moves. There's a roster update. You got to click the link. Hold on. It's working. It's working.
This is how the sausage is made, people. This is excellent. If you're listening to this as a podcast, this is excellent.
Nick Jones was waived.
All right. See, so that's not surprising. He was probably the last defensive back end. So they waived Nick Jones for Perine, but that's difficult from a roster building perspective for the Chiefs to have 4 tight ends, because they also, they traded for Peyton Hendershot yesterday as their 4th tight ends. They're carrying 4 tight ends, 3 running backs, 7 wide receivers, and a fullback. That's hard to do.
Yeah,
that's really hard to do from a roster building perspective, to have that makeup on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, it's 26 men on the offensive side.
Yeah, usually Andy likes to split it 25-25, and then the 3 special teamers. He has gone one way or the other in the past a few times. Apparently he wanted to have 4 tight ends this year. He just didn't. Irv Smith Jr. just didn't fit what they were trying to do. He's too small of a tight end to come in the running game and to be the run blocker that they needed him to be, which is why they ended up going with a younger guy like Peyton Hendershot. Offers a little bit more size, still an elite athlete at the tight end position, a guy with a lot of upside. Like Cameron Thomas, another guy who I was pretty high on coming out in the draft, but also who has a lot of upside and has more in the tank than what he's put on tape and what he has shown thus far. Bringing Juju Smith-Schuster back, though, really kind of it's 2 things. A, he knows the playbook. He's not coming in like people. I saw a lot of people say, "Oh, well, he's coming in because Hollywood Brown is injured and he's coming in to like blah blah blah." He's not coming in to start in this offense. He is a solid veteran wide receiver who fills in the back half of this receiving group, who the Chiefs can trust. Right? It's all about trust. It's a reason why we talked about that Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to make this roster. It's all about Andy Reid trusting the players, right, on this roster. And so the Chiefs brought back Juju Smith-Schuster to be that 6th wide receiver in the rotation, that wide receiver 6, that wide receiver 5, whatever you want to call it, right? And that's
what
why.
Do you think he is, though? Do you think he's the 5 rotation? Or the 6?
I'd say it's the.
Is he above Justin Watson or below him?
No, I would say below. I'd say he's the 6.
Good.
I'd say he's the 6 right now.
He's above Sky Moore, at least.
He's above Sky Moore. I don't think that Justin Watson has to worry about his roster position if they decide to go to, if something happens, right, and they decide to bring in another wide receiver. And obviously, there are some wide receivers that they could bring in. Terrace Marshall Jr., another surprise cut in Carolina. Equiminius St. Brown has kind of struggled to find a
lot of wide receivers cut.
A lot of wide receivers. Jalen Guyton, Donovan People, Tim Patrick was cut by the
he's in Detroit now.
Broncos.
He's in Detroit.
Yeah, that's fine, but he was cut, right? There's a lot of guys who were, like we said, were given their walking papers this week that were really, really surprising. And it was honestly pretty shocking. What Caleb Farley was cut as well by the Tennessee Titans. Like that was shocking. Like I would like to see him.
Who's the corner that was cut by the Texans? He was a former first rounder.
CJ
Henderson,
right?
Once again,
CJ Henderson.
That was his 13th
draft pick.
That was his 13th.
That's crazy. That's craziness. Yeah.
Like a lot of people right now are just finding the streets, and it's.
And here's one thing I think that it has to do
Interesting.
with is that you had a lot of really, really large draft classes with COVID, right?
Yeah.
After COVID, right? Like the 2022 and 2023 draft classes were really big just from a numbers standpoint. There were a lot of players and they were deep drafts, right? This last year's draft and the year before, they were really deep. And so because of that, you have this influx of players that are coming in. So 2022 guys, you're seeing a lot of 2022 guys getting cut because there were so many good players in 2023 and 2024, right? And so like teams aren't waiting around anymore. I also think that it's evident that these teams are drafting poorly. I think that you see the teams that are moving on from these guys are the teams that continually draft at the highest part of the draft. We're talking about these teams that are giving up on players. We're talking about the Carolina Panthers. We're talking about the Arizona Cardinals. You know what I mean? And so, go ahead.
Or is it the fact that there's not a lot of high caliber talent now in the National Football League? Is that like, are we finally running up against that? Are we finally?
I don't think so at all. I think it's the opposite. I think there's
so?
too much talent. I think there's too many talented players.
Is there a big gap between, like, say, like, for instance, Major League Baseball, there's a huge gap between MLB and AAA. Is there like a gap like that for, like, say, for like 1s and 2s and 3s on a roster?
There is a gap between like the elite players and then like the bottom of the roster guys. Like, let's say that. But I'll tell you this. You look at these players, like Frank Gore Jr. just got cut.
Yeah.
Also,
another shocking.
Right? Another shocking move. You give me Andy Reid as my head coach, right? Give me an elite head coach. I could go 9-8 just with the players that were cut.
Yeah. That's a good point. Very,
Desmond Ritter was cut.
So it's all about coaching.
It is all about coaching. It's all about coaching. It's all about personnel decisions. And I could put together a winning roster with the guys that have been cut this week. I think if you give me an elite coach, because I think Andy Reid could get the most out of him. Like Desmond Ritter's upside is as good as what? It's his highest upside. The best Desmond Ritter or the best Bailey Zapp.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You're ever gonna see. Who's now in Kansas City, now on the practice squad.
Sip on the ball, Zappy.
Like their highest upside, the best they're ever going to be is what? Alex Smith.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like if they reach their highest potential.
Yeah, it'd have to be Alex. It'd have to be, because who was before Alex that Andy was using? Like, I can't even get a visual on who was Castle with Andy at one point.
No, Castle.
So once Andy came in,
Andy brought in Smith. That
probably
was
the smartest decision he's ever done.
That was the deal. Like Andy and Smith came in at the exact same time, and then they drafted Eric Fisher. Right. It was a brilliant move. John Dorsey, as much as you can say about him on a lot of things, as far as like
he knew
like talent. A personality, he knows talent, and he's a personnel man, and he can identify talent and he can draft. And John Dorsey did draft well when he was here in Kansas City, and he made some smart moves. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting, Kramer. Listen, preseason's over. We're turning the page to the regular season. It's a beautiful time of year. We're going to get out of here.
1 second. I have one more thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, give me your closing thoughts.
We finally have left tackle number 2 on this roster, and it's not Wanya Morris. Ethan Big, I want to say Big. I'm gonna say Ethan Big Dick Driscoll is left tackle number 2. This dude's a behemoth. Yeah. He's going to be an absolute stud. It's perfect to have him behind Kingsley Suamatia. Sky's the limit for this guy. I'm a big fan.
You mean undrafted?
Yeah.
Ethan Big Dick Driscoll.
Yes, sir.
I'd say that 10 times fast without sounding like you're stuttering. Ethan Big Dick Driscoll in the house. Oh, one last thing we got to get to before we get out of here. We ran a poll on Twitter, not X, on Twitter.
It's X. Come on, Rocky. It's 2024
I send tweets and I get on Twitter. And you know why? Because I'm not going to give Elon the satisfaction of telling me how to live my life. I'm on Twitter every single day, and I've blocked Elon Musk. He's blocked. I blocked him. Why? Because
it's your constitutional right.
It's my constitutional right. If X is all about, he got me. If Twitter is all about freedom of speech, then I have the freedom to
because
to
apparently
block.
Meta's not.
Apparently it's not.
The Zucks came out. Okay, what was it?
Anyway, so Carson Steele. We said we were gonna run it. We're gonna run a poll for what Carson Steele's nickname should be, and it turns out that a lot of people told us he already had a nickname in college, and it was Warhorse.
Okay,
So
that's not bad.
Warhorse got numerous votes over what it should be. We also got votes for, obviously, the winner as far as the total number of votes was Man of Steel.
I like that one. That's
So
the one
Man
I
of
voted
Steel
for.
was the winner with 36% of the voting total. Second was Baby Thor. Third was Crocodile Dundee. Fourth
Laughed at that one.
was Cream Hunt.
Okay, when you made that one, I was scratching my head when I was reading those. I'm like, what is that? No, like, please, no.
Yeah, and then Warhorse came in with like 6 or 7 votes, I think it was. A lot of people told us Warhorse. I reached out to his mother via Twitter
No
as
kidding.
well. Yeah, and I asked her if she had any insight on it. Yet to have heard back, but since she liked one of my tweets one time, I figured she at least knows I exist.
You know,
And
let's get Mama Steele on the Veach season podcast.
we need to get Mama Steele on here as a guest host. So Mama Steele, if you're listening, we would love to have you on the show. Otherwise, we'll have our producer, Steven Serta, reach out to her, slide into her DMs, or I'll just slide into her DMs and ask her if she'd like to be a guest on the show to talk about her boy, Carson Steele, her baby boy, Carson Steele, and the great achievement of making the Chiefs opening 53-man roster. Probably the future greatest fullback in the history of Chiefs Kingdom. But yeah, that's all we got for you guys this week. Kramer, any parting thoughts?
Stay safe, have fun, put a smile on your face. Don't know who needs to see it.
All right, guys, we'll be back next week with our normal meandering full-on bulk episode. We just couldn't go another week without saying hi to you and telling you we love you and letting you hear our sweet ASMR voices in your ear holes. As always, guys, thank you for the privilege of your time. Give us a 5-star review. Tell us if we suck. Tell us if we're awesome. Regardless, at the end of the day, life is hard. Just love each other. We love you guys. Love on each other. Find somebody that you love and just squeeze them tonight. That being said, we'll talk to you guys soon, and we are out.